Get me that signal. We need more power.
Welcome to the Voice of E, Entertainment for the Everyday Geek. I am your host, Elliott Miller. Thanks for joining me in this look once again at all things related to geek culture. First, in board game news. Zombies are massing to make a run at your real estate, and they're bent on world domination. In updated takes on the classic game franchises Monopoly and Risk. Brought to you by USAopoly and available exclusively from Diamond Comic Distributors, Monopoly, The Walking Dead Survival Edition, and Risk, The Walking Dead Survival Edition games are both available for pre-order in April's previews and slated for a September 2013 release. Kirkman's groundbreaking The Walking Dead graphic novels have been #1 in sales for the past 2 years. We are extremely excited to be working with USAopoly and Robert Kirkman's skybound imprint at Image Comics in what promises to be 2 great games that are destined to be bestsellers for retailers, said Bill Shanes, Diamond's VP of Purchasing. Despite its post-apocalyptic setting, Monopoly, The Walking Dead Survival Edition, which will run for about $39.99, delivers classic Monopoly wheeling and dealing gameplay. Players vie for and then must fortify the prime real estate and resources that will sustain their lives. There's only one victor, and that will outlast the others, whether living or undead, when all is said and done. What happens when you land on free parking? Right. This completely customized game features 6 collectible tokens. Yes, optional speed play and a fight to the finish. In Risk, now here's a one. The Walking Dead Survival Edition for $49.99. It's a fun new twist on classic Risk gameplay. USAopoly will debut a brand new map set in the southeast region of the United States where players battle and scavenge for their very lives. Contending for survival at every turn, gamers must not only fend off attacks from the living, who compete for precious, limited resources upon which their survival depends, but they also must maintain their self-preservation from the unrelenting hordes of the undead that would feast upon them. A new deck of supply cards will add strategy, fun, and flavor to this classic tabletop game. Gamers can expect a fast-paced game of attrition and survival, where this time, the last man standing wins. Of course, unless the entire rest of the world is dead. Anyway, the first expansion to Tasty Minstrel's Eminent Domain made its way to Kickstarter, and has reached its initial funding goal already. With the Escalation expansion to Eminent Domain, players will get to play with up to 5 players now, not 10, 5. Different functions for the different ship models from Eminent Domain, new technologies and new ways to obtain technology, scenarios that breathe new life into Eminent Domain, with variable starting positions. You could start here, or over there. Some direct conflict is introduced through 3 of the new tech cards. You know, if you're unfamiliar with Eminent Domain, it's a science fiction themed deck building strategy game about building an empire in which your empire's abilities are based on a deck of role cards. At the beginning of the game, each player has the same deck of cards, with just 2 cards for each role. Every turn, you must choose a role to execute, and in doing so, you'll add one of those role cards to your deck. When executing a role, you can boost its effect by playing cards out of your hand, matching the role you have. So, for example, the more you research, the better you get at researching. Makes sense, right? Yeah. Currently on Kickstarter, the Escalation expansion has quite a few stretch goals left to reach its full potential. Each goal adds additional scenarios to the expansion, all fully designed and play-tested. Eminent Domain Escalation will run on Kickstarter through April 11th. Myth is a cooperative game for 2 to 5 players developed and published by MERCS Miniatures. This game has recently launched on Kickstarter as well, and has already reached its initial funding goal. A complete game in Myth is called a story. Each story is played over 3 acts. Acts can be played sequentially, or can be split up over 3 different game sessions. Each act lasts 2 hours. Exactly. Players' avatars within a story are called heroes. Myth heroes are clothed in immense power, able to reave all but the mightiest foes. However, this power must be balanced lest the darkness take too much notice. Players must weigh their actions against the threat each will bring, with the consequences of awakening more evil and bringing doom on the party's endeavors. And be careful they must, as the darkness is formidable and eager to snatch glory from the valiant. Heroes are controlled through an intuitive hero deck. Yes. And videos for each hero can be found in the gameplay videos section at the Kickstarter project. Yes, it's very nice. Each deck plays uniquely and allows players more freedom of action and the ability to truly impact the story each and every act. Yet, cooperation is the key to victory and bloody fortune. Players must communicate, interact, and assist each other, or surely the darkness will cover all. Myth is a fully cooperative game. There is no player controlling the darkness. The darkness is governed by a set of rules unique to each boss deck. Yet, the darkness is activated through hero actions. If the heroes get overzealous, then the darkness pushes back by activating lairs, spawning captains, and punishing the heroes with devious events. If the heroes take a more subtle approach, then the darkness reacts by reducing the potential for treasure and rewards. Without the treasure and equipment to upgrade, the heroes will find each act more difficult and eventually fail. The dynamic nature of the darkness really lends a more fluid feel to the story. Players aren't being driven by properties out of their own control, nor are they being shepherded by a person whose skill has a direct impact on the enjoyment of the game. Myth will run on Kickstarter through April 24th. Over at Mayfair Games, they have released the third Steam map expansion, with 4 new maps and an exclusive tile sheet. The Westward Ho map is the largest, and this is a map for 4 to 6 players and covers the western half of the U.S. There's also a Japan map for 3 to 4 players, a Hokkaido map for 2 players, and a Singapore map also for 2 players. For those unfamiliar with the board game Steam, because it hasn't been on tabletop yet, you build railroads and deliver goods along an ever-changing network of tracks and stations. You build the tracks, you upgrade towns, you improve your train, and grab the right goods to make the longest, most profitable deliveries. Score your deliveries and add to your income or victory points, balancing your need to invest against your quest to win the game. Steam contains a beautiful double-sided game board. The map on each side depicts terrain, towns, and cities at the start of the railway age. The map of the northeastern USA and neighboring Canada is ideal for 3 to 4 players. You use the map of Europe's Lower Rhine and Ruhr region when playing a 4 to 5 player game. You can play Steam on any number of current and future variants and expansion maps, which of course expansion 3 just came out. You go to Japan. So they include pieces for up to 6 players right in the original game. Steam is the culmination of Martin Wallace's classic railroad game series. It contains a brilliantly balanced standard game and a very rich and elegant basic game. Both offer you unparalleled flavor and fun. The third map expansion set is available now with a retail price of 24 smackaroonies. Hey, and look at that. That's it for board game news this week. Now, let's move on to some entertainment news. Doctor Who's 50th anniversary. Yes, BBC America has revealed some of the all-star cast that will mark the 50th anniversary of Doctor Who. David Tennant and Billie Piper, yes, Rose, will join the current Doctor and companion, Matt Smith and Jenna Louise Coleman, while John Hurt, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, Alien, Harry Potter, the Dragon from Merlin, will also co-star. Last seen as the Doctor on January 1st, 2010, this will be the first time David Tennant has reprised his role as the 10th Doctor. During his reign as the Time Lord, Tennant appeared in 3 series as well as several specials. He was first revealed as the Doctor in the 2005 series finale, The Parting of the Ways. Meanwhile, Billie Piper, who played companion Rose Tyler for 2 series following the reboot in 2005, will appear on the show for the first time since featuring in Tennant's last episode, The End of Time, in 2010. Also confirmed to join the cast is John Hurt, who will also co-star in the anniversary special that will form part of the blockbuster celebrations produced by BBC Cymru Wales for BBC One. The 50th anniversary will be written by Stephen Moffat and directed by Nick Huron. Jurassic Park 3D. Let's talk about it. Yeah. Universal Pictures will release Steven Spielberg's groundbreaking classic Jurassic Park in 3D on April 5th, 2013. That's this weekend. With his remastering of the epic into a state-of-the-art 3D format, Spielberg introduces the 3-time Academy Award-winning blockbuster to a whole new generation of moviegoers and allows longtime fans to experience the world he envisioned in a way that was unimaginable during the film's original release. Although, from what I understand, the way Spielberg filmed it, it's like he knew it would eventually be in 3D, and who knows, maybe he did. Yeah, we're talking about Steven Spielberg here. Was Jurassic Park not one of the best movies ever made in the universe? Starring Sam Neill, Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum, Samuel L. Jackson, and Richard Attenborough. The film, based on the novel by Michael Crichton, and if you have not read the novel, it is really, really good, as are most books by Michael Crichton, except the medical thrillers, which I didn't really care for. But, I mean, come on, there's others. Anyway. Sorry, I get worked up. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean. It's produced by Kathleen Kennedy and Gerald R. Mullen. Just visit www.jurassicpark.com. I'm not going to tell you how to spell Jurassic. Okay. Jurassic. All right? Jurassic.park.com. Here's the trailer for the upcoming IMAX 3D release. If you're going to see it, go see it in IMAX 3D. I'm going to see it.
I own an island off the coast of Costa Rica. I've spent the last 5 years setting up a kind of biological preserve.
King Kong?
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Dinosaurs and man, two species separated by 65 million years of evolution. Possibly have the slightest idea.
You feel that?
What to expect.
Hold on to your butts.
All major theme parks had problems.
But John, if the Pirates of the Caribbean breaks down, the pirates don't eat the tourists.
Go faster.
You know, as I was perusing through Universal Pictures materials, I noticed something that completely slipped my notice last Halloween. And I'm a big Halloween fan, if you don't know that by now. And I just had to talk about it. For the first time ever, 8 of the most iconic cinematic masterpieces of the horror genre are available together on Blu-ray as Universal Classic Monsters: The Essential Collection. It debuted from Universal Entertainment, digitally restored from high-resolution film elements in perfect high-definition picture and perfect high-definition sound for the first time ever. Universal Classic Monsters, the Essential Collection, brings together the very best of Universal's legendary monsters. Which, yes, it is, really. Imaginative and technically groundbreaking tales of terror that launched a uniquely American movie genre. This definitive collection features 8 films on Blu-ray, a collectible 48-page book featuring behind-the-scenes photographs, original posters, correspondence, and much more. Dear Mummy. Each iconic film is accompanied by an array of bonus features that tell the fascinating story of its creation and history, including behind-the-scenes documentaries, filmmaker commentaries, interviews, storyboards, galleries, and trailers. Especially appealing for fans are a never-before-seen featurette about the restoration of Dracula, and the first ever offering of Creature from the Black Lagoon in its restored Blu-ray 3D version. Here is the trailer to whet your appetite.
It's a perfect night for mystery and horror. The air itself is filled with monsters.
Universal's classic monsters on Blu-ray High Def.
The whole world's frightened to death.
From the studio that launched a legacy of monster movies comes 8 legendary films.
Crazy, am I? We'll see whether I'm crazy or not.
Dracula.
Children of the night, what music they make.
Frankenstein.
The brain of a dead man waiting to live again in a body I made.
The Invisible Man. Creature from the Black Lagoon. The Bride of Frankenstein.
She hate me.
Phantom of the Opera.
I told them there'd be death and destruction if they didn't let you sing.
The Mummy.
Thou shalt rise again.
And the Wolfman. Starring Hollywood's most iconic horror talent.
I am Dracula.
Bela Lugosi, Boris Karloff, Lon Chaney Jr., and Claude Rains.
You've stolen my music.
Featuring creatures designed by master horror makeup artist Jack Pierce, all digitally restored in high definition, 6 times the resolution of DVD.
It's fantastic.
Loaded with hours of bonus features, including documentaries, archival materials, and much more. Experience horror like never before.
It's alive! It's alive!
Universal's classic monsters. Own them on Blu-ray High Def.
I hope you will like it.
You know, have you ever wanted to tour Tony Stark's workshop yourself? Now you have the chance. To celebrate the upcoming release of Iron Man 3 opening in theaters and IMAX 3D on May 3rd, an exciting new exhibit is coming to Innovations at Disneyland Park in California, featuring actual set pieces from the film. Beginning April 13th, Iron Man Tech, presented by Stark Industries, will give Disneyland Park guests the chance to see Tony Stark's Hall of Armor, featuring Iron Man suits marked 1 through 7, the same suits featured in Iron Man 3. And you will even be able to virtually suit up yourself, even getting the chance to test out its infamous repulsor blast. Come experience, if I really had great special effects, I'd just throw some repulsor blasts in there. Yeah, I'm learning. Come experience Iron Man Tech, presented by Stark Industries, when it opens at Innovations in Disneyland Park, that's the one in California, April 13th. And you can go visit Marvel.com for some more on this awesome exhibit and all things, it's awesome! On all things Iron Man 3 before it soars into theaters and IMAX 3D on May 3rd. Iron Man Tech will be at Disneyland through September, so you don't have to rush out tomorrow. You have a little bit of time. And that takes us right into comic book news. Bum bum! This week in comics, IDW announced Star Trek After Darkness to be released just 2 weeks after the Star Trek Into Darkness movie is to be released. Star Trek After Darkness will be written by Mike Johnson, who's currently represented by IDW's Countdown to Darkness, the prequel leading up to Into Darkness, and it will be overseen by Roberto Orci, co-writer and co-producer of Star Trek Into Darkness. Orsi has also overseen Countdown to Darkness. There's so many things going into darkness here that it's just crazy. The events of Star Trek After Darkness will occur across issues 21 through 23 of IDW's ongoing Star Trek series, which you should go check out if you haven't had a chance. Come on. We are thrilled to follow up Star Trek Into Darkness with this exclusive story in the ongoing comic series, said Star Trek editor Scott Dunbier. As with our prequel Countdown to Darkness, having Mr. Orsi overseeing After Darkness ensures that the events in the comic seamlessly continue from the events of the film. They mesh. Look, they're meshing. Marvel announces an original graphic novel based on the ABC fairy tale drama Once Upon a Time. Hey, have you seen Once Upon a Time? It's a pretty good show. Hey, I enjoy it. Once Upon a Time, Shadow of the Queen. An all-new original graphic novel hardcover inspired by the popular television series. Plotted by series writer and co-producer Dan Thompson, or Thompson as you would say if you were smart, and co-written by Karina Becho. Sorry, Karina, I tried. This landmark release fits into the official continuity of Once Upon a Time and features the lush art of Nimit Malavia, Vasilis Lolos, Mike Del Mundo, Stephanie Hans, that was an easy one, and Mike Henderson. Yes, thank you. Here's another easy one. Welcome to Storybrooke, a small New England town where seemingly regular people go about their everyday lives with no idea who they really are. The fabled storybook characters we all grew up with. It's real, all of it. But Fairy Tale Land is not the happily ever after you may have heard about. Their stories continued, and the evil queen cast a dark curse over their homeland. In Once Upon a Time, Shadow of the Queen, the evil queen, who is really quite hot, has, quite literally, captured the huntsman's heart. With the huntsman a slave, experience the never-before told tale behind their twisted relationship, and what happens when a good man is forced to do bad. And when Regina cooks up yet another devious plan to capture Snow White, the huntsman comes face to face with his past, including an independent spirit in Red Riding Hood that just may match his own. Can these two break free of the forces that bind them and save Snow White? The release of Once Upon a Time, Shadow of the Queen marks the first official graphic fiction tie-in to the hit ABC Studio series. And you know what? That's all the geek news I have for this week. Make sure to subscribe to the Voice of E channel to keep up to date with all the latest news and reviews for board games, comics, movies, toys, and anything that I happen to think is cool. My name is Elliott Miller and I am your host. Thank you for watching.
Get me that 6. We need more power.